wanted that to be.
Is that better?
Hello, guys. Welcome to episode 24 of the Carrot Lane Live. I guess it's a podcast show, whatever you want to call it. We don't like to formalize it as a show, do we? We're going to be talking about NFTs, punk strategy, crypto, Bitcoin, some of the stuff that's happening, I guess, in Iran that we kind of have to talk about and touch on because it's impacting pricing. But we have a new face. Taimur has been a member of the Carrot Lane community. What I'm trying to do is get more people involved in the live streams. Obviously, Simon's away on international duties. He's absolutely gutted he can't be here.
2 weeks in a row. What's he doing? What's he doing? He's abandoned us.
Tay, you're just on mute, my friend. I think before we came on, there was a vacuum cleaner in the background, and between the pair of you, right? Just to give the 10 viewers who are in at the moment an insight, I've got two pairs of sick notes here, both UK based. Burge, I'll hand it to you. You've just moved into your new flat, right?
Yeah, and apparently I'm allergic or whatever. I don't know. I've fallen ill immediately, but
no, it's because you're not being looked after by mum, mate. She's not cleaning up your laundry.
Exactly.
And it looks like a bloody Al Qaeda training video with the.
Yeah, well, so I've got some shelves, but I haven't got anything to put on them yet, or haven't put anything on them yet. So,
guys, I'm just going to do a quick flick onto the different platforms, just to see if Trade Coin. I'm going to give you a follow back. Actually, follow me on TikTok. Before I got on here, guys, and it was crazy. Like I've just started on TikTok. I had in total, there are about 800 viewers who got in and got out, but it got up to like 45, 50 people on the live. And it's crazy. There is appetite for people talking about these topics on these different platforms. But Tay, do you want to do a little bit of an introduction into yourself? It's your first time on the live. I know that you've actually, as a viewer, you've dived on and commented and had some input. But you just want to introduce yourself quickly. Obviously, where you're from, what you do. Obviously, you've got British RP accent coach. What the hell is that?
Yes. So yes, I know you guys through VFriends. Went to the VCons back in the day. Been in NFTs since 2021. And yeah, so RP accent coach. So RP stands for received pronunciation. It's like you have the traditional version, which is like what the king speaks and like the posh people, but I teach people how to sound the modern version, which is basically like just less posh, more neutral version. And that's what I help people. I started off teaching English and then I got into that.
Very cool.
Nice, mate.
Very
nice.
Unique.
I like it. Just Tay, I know you're a handsome chap. Do me a massive favor. Get your head in the middle of the picture. There we go. That's it. I've actually got a story about Tay. We the first time I might have met you was in London. Burge again launched a killer meetup. We might have met in London, but actually where we really got to know each other was in Minnesota during VCon 1 in 2022. And the first event, I don't know, we were drunk every single day. I don't even know what happened in the conference, but I will never forget it for as long as I live. Guys, for the 16 of you that have joined, please do me a massive favor. Please share the stream. It is how the live streams grow. Would really appreciate just a repost. And obviously, we'll give you a shout out in the comments. We're also answering any questions that you might have in the comments. Obviously, there's no Simon today. He's on international duties again, but we've got the handsome looking Tay. He's part of the founders group in the Carrot Lane community, which is 65 strong. If you want to be a part of that, just drop me a message. It'd be great to have you on board. But Tay, my favorite memory of you, my man, was VCon in 2022. But is that a vacuum cleaner going in the background? Do me a favor, put yourself on mute. What is that noise?
It's the computer.
2022 VCon. The last day, I was trading around the assets. I was getting leverage around some of these NFTs, and I was trying to trade around the VCon tickets. And I'd put in a substantial amount of money into these VCon tickets, and I'd sold them because I thought, right, he's not doing anything with the VCon tickets. They've basically they've revealed people didn't really respond to the art, and they went down in price. On the very last day, Gary Vee is sat on stage with Snoop Dogg, and he says, now I fucking sold these tickets in the hotel drunk, these NFT tickets, just booked a loss. On the last day, he goes, guys, if you keep hold of your NFT ticket, I've got something extra for you. And this is going to be a lesson to all of you who thought I couldn't do anything with these NFTs because they're a contract. He says, I'm cooking up something with Snoop Dogg. They're doing a fucking song together. And if you had the NFT, and I'm just sat there, I just sat in my chair like this. Tay, bearing in mind we'd only been in Minnesota for 3 days, Tay gets up in the broadest American accent, by the way, the fucking British RP accent coach. And he goes like this. He's on his feet and he goes, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. And I was just sat in my chair.
No, it wasn't for that. It wasn't for that. It was when the gift goes. It was when people.
It was
when people announced it being a gift. When people was one of the gifts, I was so proud.
Oh, I remember that.
Hey, never let the truth get away with your story, mate. I'm going to tell the other story instead. All right. But anyway, the
I remember seeing Jayden. He's crushed.
And our accent coach has basically turned into a fucking yank. He's like this with the devil horns as well. Let's fucking go. Let's go. And I was like, oh my God, I want the ground to swallow me up. In fact, he might have done the Beeple one just after the Snoop Dogg one. I don't know. You probably correct me on that. But do you know what? It's times like those that kind of bring people together and you're like, this is, and actually, we haven't met that many times. I was just saying, Burge, the World of Women event that we did, we hadn't met we hadn't seen each other in like 3 years, but we speak like literally every day. It's crazy.
Yep.
I mean, it's so cool that we've kind of connected. We've got a kind of this brotherhood thing, and now we've all connected around Carrot Lane, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I didn't want to steal your thunder there, Tay. Have you want to maybe just give us a bit of an insight into your crypto journey? Like maybe we started.
Yes. So yeah, I was following Gary Vee, and I think a lot of people were back in the day, and that's how I got into, or how I started finding out about Ethereum, then NFTs. And yeah, I minted his. That was the first I ever minted. And then I tried to replicate the gains across other projects and failed massively. That was basically it. But no, I'm still in a lot of bonds I believe in long term. Like Strikers, for example, crypto Strikers. And a lot of NFTs still just waiting.
What's your thesis on crypto Strikers? Obviously, we're going a bit further down the risk curve here. Usually we start with but I'll circle back to you in a second, Burge. But what's your thesis on crypto Strikers?
Yeah, just because it's the first ever sports NFT on Ethereum, it's football or soccer, as the Americans call it.
Yeah.
Which is by far the biggest sport in the world. Like, I think you talked about this on another stream where you compare the viewing figures of the NFL. The Super Bowl versus the World Cup final, it's actually ridiculous how massive football is worldwide. And just that historic piece again. I am a little bit concerned about the licensing issue, but it does predate digital licensing laws. So that's how early it was. So yeah, I'm very bullish long term.
So obviously we had some issues early on where some of the footballers were taking down their image. They wanted to remove some OpenSea, but I guess these things are now in circulation, so it doesn't really make any difference. It's like misprints on coins. It's like once they're in circulation, when coins obviously had value, people wanted the misprinted ones because they had some rarity associated to it. But with it being the very first sports project, and it's got the eye candy or whatever Burge said, the kind of eye appeal. I just think
eye appeal, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of fucking has it. Burge, any thoughts on it? Just while we're on this topic, but we'll circle back to what we were going to talk about.
as Tay said, it's the sport is massive. I think it's lost on Americans how big the sport is. And I would argue even lost on us, Tay. Like I think, if you go to these other countries, like in some of these countries, for some of these people, football is their life. Like if you go to somewhere like Brazil, for example, it's really like ingrained in the culture. And Brazil is not the only country where that's the case, right? I mean, you see people in Africa playing football on like this crazy, like beaten pit, like dirt pitch or makeshift pitch with some makeshift goals, but they're still playing football, right? That matters. That matters a lot. So I think with Crypto Strikers, I mean, I don't think there's any real competition either. It to me is the earliest sports project. The way it was done and the art itself, I really, really like compared to a lot of the early projects and their art. I would say the eye appeal and the art of Crypto Strikers is really top notch. So I can really see it in the future being a very desirable collectible. It's the question will be right now. You need people to acknowledge it. You need more eyes to be put on it. You need it to be unearthed by more people. But it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time with these historical projects. I think right now, if you buy it, it's going to be a long-term hold for sure. It's pretty illiquid at the moment, but I think eventually it's going to pay off big.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I think what people don't realize is that the sports in the US, if you take like the MLB, the hockey, the American football, you add them together, it's only 1/10 of a global football audience. You just need to look at some of the followers. I mean, like just random players that you wouldn't think are like tippy top or goats or anything, like the Ramos or Iniestas or Marcelos, or these players who played in Spain for a whole bunch of years. They've got like 50, 60, 70 million followers.
Yeah.
Keylor Navas, no one even knows who that is, right? He's got 20 million. He's got 20 million. James, well, you guys do, but James Rodriguez, 50 million. The Colombian football, is he Colombian?
Yes.
50 million followers. Tom Brady has 14 million. This is the fucking greatest sportsman of all time.
Americans don't get it at all.
Yeah, and obviously we don't want to isolate our audience.
It's even growing. But what they're aware of is it's actually growing in America. I mean, obviously the World Cup's coming there this year, but football for the last 5 or 10 years has been growing in America. And I'm sure Americans can attest to that. That it's probably the biggest sport outside of their top 3, top 4, which is, as you said, NFL, NBA, hockey, baseball. Yeah.
Guys, firstly, just to the 45 listening, I will just extend a bit of an apology. I'm getting the time zones wrong here. We probably should have started an hour earlier than we did because it's supposed to be 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, which is my fault. I was actually on a live stream beforehand on TikTok, which kind of extended to 2 hours. And then anyway, Tay was late. Sorry, Tay. And now I'm throwing him under the bus. But it's all good. My fault. I apologize, guys, but we're going to make sure that we're on that 8:30 Eastern Standard Time so you guys can join. But I just want to circle back slightly, Bud. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of stuff. You did a brilliant breakdown about what was happening in this Iran thing. We don't want to make it too political. It seemingly feels like Bitcoin has decoupled from not financial conditions, but the fact that now oil prices are going up, but Bitcoin's going up, whereas usually the opposite would happen. If oil went up, Bitcoin would come down. It seems like people are kind of treating it like a safe haven. One of the things you mentioned before we kind of dived on was that actually all the crypto is going up, aside from the last 24 hours. During this war, it's gone up. Do you think it might just be the fact that gold and silver has had a rally over the last year, that people are rotating out those, because this capital's got to go somewhere? Do you think it's now coming into Bitcoin? Do you think this might be the start of a new cycle? Do you have any personal thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, in regards to the war, I think we're in an interesting time because there's no question that the US and Israel have the superior firepower. But the problem that they're suffering with is that even with all of their technology, especially America, and their sheer military might, they can't actually safeguard these ships going through the Strait of Hormuz, which is where 20 or 30% of the oil in the world travels through. So that's a massive problem. We initially saw oil prices rise a lot. I think it went up to $120 a barrel, and then it crashed down back to $80 a barrel, and then it slowly climbed since then. And I think it's up right now in the last day or 2 days. Regards to Bitcoin, I've always thought of it as digital gold, and I know that's something that's been put out there a lot on the timeline or how people have classified Bitcoin. I've always thought in times of uncertainty, Bitcoin should rise. I get it; it is new, whereas gold has had that. Gold has been around forever, so it's super. So you've got the historical data, and obviously more traditional investors are probably going to go with gold as their safe haven. But for me, I'm a forward thinker, and even though I'm definitely not opposed to having some money in gold. I also think for the world of tomorrow, I would rather hold Bitcoin, or at least I would rather hold Bitcoin and gold rather than just gold. So is that why Bitcoin's gone up over the last few over the last week or so? I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think we actually saw a massive reaction when the war started. Whereas if you probably looked at gold, there probably was a little bit more of a reaction. The problem with gold is, as you said, like it's been up, it went up so much that it was kind of at this place where I don't even think it could continue going up, even though
I was
it probably should.
Like, I know this is just anecdotal stuff, but I'm really surprised by some of the young people buying silver and buying gold.
Yeah.
Like actual physical silver. I'm just like, it's kind of like this pendulum swing of, okay, I'm going to do the old school thing. I'm going to, it's like, Elon Musk says the funniest outcome will probably be the outcome. But actually, the funniest outcome in all of this is we think that Bitcoin's going up and all these digital stuff is going up because that's where we're headed. But the funniest outcome is the outcome of, no, actually, people are now buying fucking physical gold and silver. It's just like,
I know a friend who invested in silver, and his thesis was like that the relationship between gold and silver was way out of sync compared to what it had been. But that was like what he based it on completely. Was like, this guy never had invested in gold or silver before. He was like, usually the ratio is this, and now the ratio is this. I'm going to invest in silver. And he obviously, it wasn't that caused silver to rally crazy. It was the fact that gold took off to the moon, and so did silver. But he ended up doing quite well on paper. But yeah, it's very interesting why young people go for
this similar relationship to, I guess, Bitcoin and Ethereum. The kind of
symbiotic.
Yeah, exactly. Tay, do you outside of crypto and NFTs, have you invested in any stocks or do you anything like that? Are you on mute, mate?
I did back in the past. The Brexit referendum. I don't know if you remember how the stock market crashed after the Brexit referendum. So I invested then. That was the first time I invested in stocks. I sold after that, but haven't.
Yeah.
No, I've been in crypto and NFTs more than in stocks.
Yeah. Are you now fully allocated to crypto and not in anything in stocks, or?
Yes. I think the returns are much better. It's riskier, obviously, but I think the returns are just
yeah. So I'm finding a lot of this is like the outperformance in crypto, and this doesn't need explaining to an audience that I guess a crypto native is that the outperformance it gives you is worth the volatility. So the downside volatility and stomaching that is more than worth it, because you know you're going to get the upside on the back end. But we've just been waiting for this, for the, I guess, the economy's kind of kickstart and interest rates to come down. Burge, what are your thoughts around some of the stuff that's happening with interest rates? Obviously, there's news on the timeline around this Kevin Walsh, who is kind of announced by Donald Trump that he's going to be the next Fed chair. But then there's this overlap with Jerome Powell, who they were trying to litigate against. Now it's kind of stopping. It's actually delaying him moving out of his position, which is like this fucked up thing.
Really? I hadn't heard that.
They think it's going to delay him moving out or choosing the next person. I've been reading a little bit about Kevin Walsh, and actually, he's going to make crypto go up. So I'm not but he's not impartial. I know the Fed chair needs to be this impartial person. His father-in-law is Ronald Lauder. Ronald Lauder is best friends with Donald Trump. Ronald Lauder was the one who first floated the idea of Donald Trump invading Greenland. So this is like, and the idea of him invading Greenland was because of the minerals. It's rich in minerals, and also because these ice caps are melting, it's a actual national security thing that they just have a bit more defense there or whatever for the long term. This is how they're explaining it. But the key point was the AI. And Walsh is very bullish. He's known as a hawk on inflation, so he'll keep rates higher, which is why gold and silver crashed when he was announced. But the reality is he's actually a bit of a weather vane. In other words, he follows the tide of political opinion. And because he's Republican, now he's just going to get out of Donald Trump's way. This is what people think. Obviously, it's all guessing games. But have you got any thoughts on either Jerome Powell or the interest rate cycle and anything like that?
Well, I definitely think the markets had it wrong in terms of as you said, they think he's hawkish. They think he's going to basically keep rates high, and yet clearly Trump is very happy for him to come in, and I could only see him being happy for him to come in if he was going to do what he wanted, which was cut rates. So yeah, I think the market has it wrong. I do think he is going to cut rates. And I think, as you said, that's going to positively impact, risk assets like crypto and maybe even NFTs as well. I mean, to go on a slight tangent, there's been some massive news in the last 16 hours or so out of the SEC. I don't know if you want to pivot to that or not.
Go on, yeah, absolutely. What, have you got something to share on your screen there?
Yeah. Let me bring up this video here. This is a big one. This is a big one for sure. So this is SEC Paul Atkins. This is actually from straight from his account, and this is massive news.
So today, I'm pleased to announce that the SEC's persistent failure to provide clarity on this question is over. As we speak, the Commission is implementing a token taxonomy and investment contract interpretation, and you should find that in your inbox or if you look on the website when you get home. Our interpretation, which is grounded in existing law and informed by extensive public input, establishes 4 asset categories that are not deemed to be securities. So digital commodities, digital collectibles, digital tools, and payment stable coins under the Genius Act. With these categories in place, the interpretation then clarifies that only one crypto asset class remains subject to securities laws, namely digital securities, which are traditional securities that are tokenized. This distinction returns the SEC to its core mission and statutory authority of protecting investors involved in securities transactions. We're not the Securities and Everything Commission anymore. So, thank you.
So that's massive.
That is,
He's basically, so to summarize this as well, I've got a nice little summary here for you guys. It's actually, wait, I might have an even nicer one. Let me see if I can find it. No, this is this is the one. So this is tweeted out from Solana. I'm going to click in here so it's a little bit bigger for you guys to read. So essentially saying that, you know, there's these 5 different groups now, and the only thing that's classed as a security is, as he said, securities that have been tokenized, which is like, you know, the most rational, the most logical approach is that should have been the case. That then means that digital commodities, or also called crypto assets, I think you can call them as well, that would include the likes of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. Digital collectibles would be the NFTs that we have, VFriends NFTs, Pudgy Penguins NFTs. Stable coins, obviously, everyone knows what stable coins are. They wouldn't be classed as a security. And then digital tools that like, for example, a NFT of a ticket or an NFT of some membership, that is also not classed as a security. There's massive news. Yeah. And this is something that we thought we were hoping was coming. This has been a struggle for years and years and years since we've been in this space, right? I mean, I remember the massive, you know, what was it, Ripple getting sued for being a security, and then they won that case, I think, and we saw the price skyrocket. Yeah. This is, I mean, it's massive. It's massive news for the crypto world and the NFT world.
Yeah, 100%. Tay, I just want to bring you in here, bud. Obviously, a big thing about us holding NFTs was the fact that there was a potential royalty that you could get for any of like the productivity of the NFT. So like, obviously with VFriends, they're selling a whole shit ton of merch, but because it was a security, they couldn't pay you a royalty. Do you think there's a change now? Do you think, like, I mean, do you even think that they would do that?
I think, I'm not sure if the law covers that part, if it's like profit sharing and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I have to look into it a bit more because I didn't know about this. But I'm quite surprised to see that the crypto hasn't really responded to this. Maybe it was already expected that this was going to happen. I don't know, but it doesn't seem to. You would have thought that this would have quite a positive impact. That because obviously, if basically all crypto is now definitely not a security, which was a big issue.
I mean, if this was in a bull run, you would probably see some impact to the price, wouldn't you? Because that's quite a big announcement, Burge.
Yeah. And they included examples in the legislation. They included examples. So the likes of, I mean, obviously it's pretty based, as Tay said, basically every crypto coin, but like they included the examples of Bitcoin, for example, Dogecoin, XRP, Solana, Ethereum, you know, Avalanche, Litecoin, Polkadot, all of them are not securities. It's every cryptocurrency. Yeah, you're right, Jen. This in a bull run would send the chart like at least 10 or 20% up. It's only been announced in the last day or so perhaps the market is going to pick up this week. But yeah, you would have expected a little bit more, especially actually because you know, before we went on the live, I was saying everything's up in the last week, but down in the last 24 hours. Yeah. Well, I mean, in the last 24 hours, this was announced. So I would have expected it to be up in the last 24 hours.
I just want to say a big thank you to Amit, who shared the live stream, Victoria, David, and also Tay, who's also on the live. You'll see a new face here, guys. Tay is a member of the Carrot Lane community. We've known each other since 2021. I think when we first got into NFTs, we certainly had some laughs, especially in Minnesota. There's some things that we just don't say on live streams, hey Tay, that we probably got up to that we probably shouldn't share, which is pretty cool. I want to, but I slightly want to segue into the other thing that's kind of taking over the timeline at the moment, which is the OpenSea token. I've seen a couple of varying views on what people are thinking about C and why do they keep delaying it. Simon, somewhat ironically, he doesn't know that I'm going to do this, but he left a voice note in our little live stream chat, whatever. And I am actually going to share a part of that, but I want to get either of your views on just how you think it's going with the C token. I mean, I can see both sides of it. I think, you know, the success of the C token is very much hinged on financial conditions and having a tailwind. Because if there's a tailwind and the price is going up, more people hold on to the token. And actually, if there's not, people will just sell it straight away and it hurts the ecosystem. But then there's the argument of they've just been farming fees for the last, however, like year and a half. Where do either of you sit on this? Tay, I'll just bring you into this. I know that you have traded NFTs probably historically. Do you, I mean, how do you think about the C token? You got any opinions on it or anything? Sorry.
Yeah, I agree that if they were to do an airdrop now, it would. Yeah, I think a lot of people would sell because. But I also think like people have been waiting for this for so long. I think like the longer you wait, the more you're increasing. Unless you have some really nice incentives for holding, or they add some staking mechanism or something. I think the sell pressure is going to be pretty high because people are been waiting for this liquidity event for a while now. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I'm not. We'll see. I mean, that was no pun intended. But yeah, the
that's actually a good one.
Yeah,
hey, that's a good one. Considering you haven't had a beer, mate, that is a good one from you.
But yeah, no, I don't know what's gonna happen. Honestly, I just they keep delaying it. But I mean, if it is because of financial conditions, who knows when the bull run's gonna happen? So yeah, we'll have to.
Birch, have you got anything on there or anything to share on your screen or anything?
Yeah. So I wanted to bring up this post here. This is the post by Definza. Let me just make it a little bit bigger for you guys. Okay, so this is the post. Definza obviously working for OpenSea, and this is him basically telling people that it's going to be delayed. So he says, look, I'm not going to dress this up. I know how it will land. Well, I don't know if they know for sure how this will land. I mean, I know they knew that they're going to get negative backlash. The problem is, and we'll come on to it when you play the Simon clip, but it's the setting expectations and then missing them. That is a problem. I mean, all three of us are arguably have experience of this because in the early days of VFriends, there was a lot of setting expectations and then sometimes they would miss them, right? And that's very negative if it keeps happening continuously, you know? Especially like you take OpenSea, right? They first announced this TGE a year ago. Then they said it's going to happen, you know, at the end of 2025. Then they said, no, we're delaying it till Q1 next year. I was thinking it has to happen then. Like, there's no way they would delay it again. And they've delayed it again. I get why that I get why they've delayed it. As you said, the market conditions aren't quite right. I do think they need to launch into much better market conditions than we currently have. But the problem is that they, you know, then they shouldn't have set expectations, right? Because then that's the negative side of things. And you've got to understand, like OpenSea, and we're all familiar with this. When you talk about marketplaces and the trust that marketplaces have, OpenSea has gone through a rocky road, right? It used to be, you know, the top, and then it had massive competition with Blur, from Magic Eden, Looks Rare, and they seem to innovate quicker. They seem to adapt to the market better, listen to the market better, and they also launched tokens pretty quickly. I mean, now, are those tokens doing well now? Probably not, but they were still payday for people when they did get their allocations, right? Yeah. OpenSea it's felt over the last year that they've been trying to regain that trust, and this doesn't help. You know, them delaying at the end of last year was damaging to regaining that trust, and them delaying it again, I think is even more damaging. I think this is a major blow. The first delay was bad, but this is a real bad one. But I get it because the market conditions.
First, just do me a massive favor. Go onto Simon's page because he shared a meme on there which was fucking hilarious. It was basically the OpenSea having a meeting, and then someone suggesting, "What if we don't launch the coin?" Tay, did you see that meme or not?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, it was hilarious.
I'm just going to get it on here, but just read it out for the people.
Okay, so you got Wait, let me. Okay, that's better. That's better. So everyone can see it. Okay, so he said, this guy saying, okay, it's January 2025. Let's tell them C is coming 30th of March 2026. And as I was just saying, that's not even the case. They actually like hinted that it was coming at the end of 2025. Then they delayed it to Q1. And then someone replies to him. He goes, "Great, that's a huge extraction window. Love gaslighting. How about a meaningful contingency plan?" And then the guy gets chucked out the window for suggesting a meaningful contingency plan. This is kind of what Simon's point is. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna play his recording, but yeah, he was saying if they had known that this was a possibility, they should have had a contingency plan at the very least.
Yeah, no, I know. I think people obviously set their expectations on it, but it's just, it is. I mean, this comes back to the TGE thing being an extractive event.
Yeah,
it's just like, just fucking do a strategy token, guys. We know the strategy token works. You know, maybe, and then also there's the thing around the Genesis tokens. There's people buying these things, and then they're saying no. Well, it might be, it might not, and you got people screenshotting replies and stuff. Tay, did you buy any of those Genesis tokens?
Oh, I didn't.
I did. I've been buying them. I've been buying them over the last like 4 or 5 months because I thought they were like dead set, like 100% that they were going to be, you know, how using the OpenSea terminology, that they were going to be considered by the foundation. It's all this crazy like I don't know, like they're the lords of like, oh, we have to bow down to the foundation. The foundation decides everything, and they're saying we need to delay, and the Genesis might not be included. But that's crazy. Like I mean, what's the purpose of the Genesis token if it's not to be considered?
It's a pointless thing, isn't it? I think they did it when that Genesis platform was popping off. People were trying to anticipate a coin drop or something, and they thought they were going to get an allocation, but it's pointless. But there was a comment that went viral. It's always a screenshot of a comment, and I think it was that Adam Hollander who replied to a comment, and he said, right, it's going to be Q1. It's going to be Q1 this year in January. The person replied something like, no, it won't be. It'll probably be April. And then he replies something like, that's not Q1, like getting all sarky. Anyway, this person takes a screenshot of it. This thing's gone viral. And then he gets questioned about it on an interview, which I thought was really funny. But it's just the internet that keeps on giving.
There's another one. There's another one, Jayden. Someone says, are you sure it's going to be Q1? Because, you know, what about if the market conditions don't pick up? And he says in the reply, he says, it will be Q1. And yes, I understand. Like he said, right now, things look favorably for 4C, the token. But in reality, it will be Q1 because it's not down to market conditions. And then they've delayed it because of market conditions. So
why are you lying?
I don't understand.
You can't make this up.
I don't know if Adam and Definza are the people that decide, or if it's this foundation group of people that we don't even know make up the foundation, and that Adam and Definza are just the community spokespeople. That's the bit I'm a little bit confused about.
Yeah, that's interesting. I just want to maybe just move out of the C token just briefly and just talk about stuff that's happening in the NFT ecosystem. Since December, the NFT market cap has doubled, and people won't really notice that because they might just see some of the floor prices of the collections that get crushed. But that is into a headwind of Ethereum dropping by 30 or 40% in the same time. So actually, if you think, okay, these NFTs are priced in ETH, the market cap is obviously dollars because it's like at 6 billion or was it 3 billion or whatever. So it's basically doubled. But ETH has come down. So if ETH was just, I guess, where it was, I mean, you could safely assume the market cap would be up by like 10, 11 billion, which would actually be pretty high and pretty significant. The fact that NFTs are going straight into a kind of headwind of bombs going off and potential inflation. And I know that inflation's coming down, but oil prices and these sorts of things. Tay, are you looking at any NFT projects at the moment? Are you trading any of these things? Is there anything that you're seeing as a collector?
Yeah, I just got, as you know, I just bought a mutant ape. I
Woo!
think
Wow.
so.
Why haven't you
Yeah,
changed it? Or we can't see your PFP because I don't think it's showing. You still got your Curious Crane as your spec 1 of 1.
yeah, because that's my baby. That's my baby.
I'll tell
That's,
you what, Amit, who's also in the Carrot Lane community, is on an absolute tear collecting those 1 of 1 specs. He'll be in your DMs, mate. To be honest, that'll be his NFT by the end of today. No, I'm joking. So, what was your thought process around the mutant?
So I've been researching for weeks, like trying to figure out, okay, what's most likely to, because basically just a flip, because everything is so underpriced right now, and whether we're in the bottom or near the bottom doesn't really matter. I was thinking like, oh, I could time it better, but it really doesn't matter. If you're talking about a couple of 0.01 ETH or even 0.1 ETH compared to when the bull run happens, the exact timing doesn't really matter. Just what matters is actually pressing the button, pulling the trigger, so to speak. So that's why I did it. And I was like, the reason I chose Mutant Ape is because just liquidity wise, being part of Yuga Labs, being part of Wood Ape Yacht Club, that's probably going to see the fastest increase in people returning when the bull run happens, because it's one of the most, if not the most well-known project, because of all the apes that went viral last cycle. So yeah, I think that's probably highly likely to be one of the ones that has a huge increase in liquidity when the bull run starts, and then as liquidity goes further down, it will go. That's why I didn't end up getting like an Apple, for example, from Curio Cards. I might still, because it is a lot cheaper, but I just think like that's going to take more time to get to see liquidity.
Because the mutants, I mean, like, it's interesting, these plays with the secondary collections. We saw in 2021 that the secondary collections kind of traded at a guess, I'd say around about 10% of whatever the first collection was. Obviously, mutants went to, I think they went up to about 50 Ethereum, which is a significant thing, because you think that if the apes are around about 150, then the mutants, there's a lot of ceiling to go here, bud. And if you think there's a lot of people that want to be a part of the Bored Ape ecosystem, but they can't, because I mean, even 20 grand for an ape or whatever it is at the moment is still pricey. So it's actually to get into a mutant when ETH is down, you're thinking actually that's within reach. And actually, I think the mutant's pretty cool. I mean, that's why I bought one. But I also think that there's more people in the network of the mutants. This is the thing that people don't get. It's actually, a lot of people trying to launch NFT projects and trying to charge on the front end, especially new artists and stuff, was actually you just need to get more people in the net. It's the square root of the users in the network. It's like why some of X copies collections that have larger, like the collections that have a supply of 10 or go for more than some of the 1 of 2s or 1 of 1s, because there's more people in that ecosystem trading it, so it's moving hands more. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen with mutants, but it's an interesting one. I think it's a great play. I think the mutants are going to be a good one. I think what people don't realize is that the put your mutant up on X and see how many people follow you. I had 250 people follow me. I've never had that with anything I've ever posted, ever. I've posted some, I was about to say some good stuff, but maybe some of it's not so good because people aren't listening to it. But if you post a mutant and you tag in and welcome to the apes and, Bored Ape Yacht Club or whatever, you get a shit ton of people follow you. And it's like, that is the signal. The attention flows around the asset are what leads to buying. And then you go, well, you sprinkle in some better financial conditions. And then you go, hold on a second, this is going to be a big thing. You'll remember it, Tay, when, who was that? Oh, I can't remember. I keep forgetting his name. But he was like, he worked for NASA, I think. And he was collecting all the apes and he was trading around them. But he ended up getting like 100,000 followers. He ended up getting 100,000 followers just because he posted his ape NFT. And these are the attention flows it creates. But that leads to buying, because these things are like trophy assets. So yeah, that's the next thing that you got to do, my friend.
As soon as you add in that like better financial conditions and a bull market, right, where you're more than likely going to make money or be able to sell that ape at a break even if in a few months time. As soon as you add in that, then that's all an additional on top. All of that marketing from the post, all of those followers, it's an additional. But so it's going to happen as soon as the market picks up. You're going to see these posts of people buying a CryptoPunk, people buying an ape, people buying a pudgy penguin, and they're going to farm the engagement that gets them, the followers that gets them, the social status that puts them on, and also have an asset that it's likely going to appreciate in value, or at the very least that they could sell for break even. And when marketing, essentially that's marketing, then when that's free, or even you're able to earn money through an asset that gives you free marketing, that's when it's a no-brainer.
This is the debate I have with people on LinkedIn. It's like you've got these guys paying for ads on LinkedIn, then dunking on me because I'm sharing this ape and the story around it and why I've bought it, and also the VFriend stuff, not realizing that the attention that they're looking for their businesses and the things that they're trying to achieve is inside of these communities. Some of the business development that's been done, I mean, look at us three. We're friends. We'd never met before NFTs. They've just organized. Now we're on a show together with 67 people listening to us like waffle on. And Tay, with his little cheeky smile there. Tay, I know you won't mind me saying that, but within 3 minutes of landing in Minnesota, you had Tinder downloaded, and
what do you mean? It's never not downloaded.
Yeah, and then he's obviously, because we're in Minnesota, he's got to come across as the quintessential Brit. Oh well, I might be related to the royal family. I might not. Who knows? It's in my bloodline, maybe. But it looks like you've got something to share on your screen there, my friend.
Yeah, this is it's an interesting one. I haven't listened to it yet, but I do think it's going to be a good
is this
video.
going to get us cancelled?
No, I don't think so.
Many Americans are unaware that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date. You know that. Paul and others are straightening it out, but payments and money transfers are costly and take days or even weeks to clear. Under this bill, the entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using the state-of-the-art crypto technology. Who would have thought we would have been saying that 2 years after? Many Americans are unaware.
Now, I don't know if it's AI, but no, I don't think it is AI.
No.
And this is something that's been kind of hinted at, right? Because they've been talking about the clarity bill, right? He's been putting a lot of pressure on the banks and on these crypto firms and exchanges to come to an agreement. And I think what he's hinting at here is, what that's going to allow, a new financial system that's going to break away from the old, bank dominated industry. I mean, banks are still, look, I don't think banks are going to go away at all. Like they're going to fight tooth and nail, right? They're going to make sure that they're still part of the financial system of the new that's going to come in. But I think crypto, we're going to see that feature heavily in the new financial system. I think that's going to be the backbone. And I think you're going to see banks get involved. You're going to see everything become, is going to start to go on chain. And it's a no-brainer. I mean, we've known it for a long time now, but if you had to send money from, let's say, the UK to where you're originally from, Jayden, South Africa, right?
Yeah.
That the amount of fees, and it's so much. People have paid crazy amounts, right, in fees to transport that money back to their family in a different country. Crypto levels that and strips away most of those fees. The only problem really historically has just been the volatility of crypto. You don't want to send you don't want to send Doge, right, to someone in South Africa and then have Doge crash 40% because the market decided that it's going to go down on that day. That's the only real problem that crypto's had. But stable coins, if you can send, like, I think people have already started doing this. You know, people have sent remittance payments from the US back to, you know, a different country, maybe in South America, for example, and they're already utilizing crypto. I think actually there's companies that are using crypto, charging people fairly high fees, but are lower than like some banks, and then they're making the difference, and they're doing like the transaction via crypto. So it's a no-brainer that this was going to happen, but very interesting to see.
Yeah, Tay, obviously you spent a lot of time in Thailand, my friend, obviously traveling around and stuff. There is a crypto economy in that part of the world, and obviously a lot of like nomadic people working from laptops and doing crypto. Are you seeing a trend of anything, Bud? You seeing actual use case of people having to transfer money when they're abroad, or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, Thailand actually does has a surprisingly large number of people that have crypto. Apparently, it's one of the top 5 in the world of crypto adoption. But a lot of that is, like just people just holding a small amount. It's not really used as a day-to-day payment software sort of option. The most common way for people to pay in Thailand is with the QR code. But that's connected to your Thai bank account. So right. I have no doubt.
People pay by QR code.
Yeah.
So well, you go to the shop and then you just pay with a QR code.
You scan their QR code and that's how you pay. It connects to your bank account and you pay.
Wow. And is that Tay? Am I right in saying that's to try and get around, card payment, like card fees? Like if you had to pay with like Visa or MasterCard, right? Visa and MasterCard charge these businesses huge amounts of like the fees on those that they can set them because they have the monopoly, right? But if you're paying via bank transfer straight to the business, then you're circumventing that, right? There's no fees involved there.
Exactly. Yeah. There might be a small fee, but it's going to be a lot less. It's going to be a lot less. And the if at all, I haven't actually done it myself because I don't have a Thai bank account for different reasons. But it's the QR code thing. Yeah, it's definitely the most common way that people pay, and a lot of places will even charge you up to like 5 to even 10% if you use Visa or MasterCard. So.
Gotcha. So they're putting that back onto the consumer, like in terms of like, if you want to use a card, then you're going to have to pay the fee. I'm not paying the fee.
Yeah, but it's a big surplus on top of that. There's no way Visa or MasterCard charges 10% per transaction. So they just put an extra barrier to stop people doing that because they definitely prefer people to pay in with QR codes or in cash.
Interesting.
So I think the barrier to entry for crypto is not very far away because it could quite easily become a QR code that you pay with crypto instead. Or we're already seeing that happen where you can actually pay in the normal way and it just links through to your crypto but pays the merchant in fiat. So I definitely think that's going to happen. I've actually, since we're on this topic, I just saw in the news that MasterCard bought a stable coin. They bought a stable coin company for how much was it? $1.8 billion.
Wow.
So
I see that.
Startup BVNK. So obviously they're getting ready for the crypto era.
Yep.
That's good. I just want to just kind of narrow in on the punk strategy ecosystem. Things have gone a little bit quiet. Tay, I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff that's happened with Token Works. It kind of ties in a little bit with what's happening with OpenSea, which for me, it's just basic pattern recognition with these strategy tokens. They work, and market buying your own token works. And doing the TGE, the reason why OpenSea have to delay it in the way that they are is because there's too many attack vectors here. There's too many things that can go wrong. And I just think actually just market buying your own token via the token work strategy would be a better way of doing it. What do you guys think? What do you think about what's happening with the punk strategy stuff? There's a lot of people message me say, Jayden, is it dead? Is it coming back? I happen to believe that the kind of punks in the protocol protect your downside risks to zero, because one of them sells, then there's a huge purchase and there's a big thing on the timeline. Then you've got the other NFTs feeding into the, albeit only a small percentage. Berger, you got any thoughts on that? Because I know that you have quite a big allocation of punk strategy.
Yeah. I think Adam, the way he designed things, right, was he wanted it just to sit, like he wanted it to be able to exist without anyone touching it.
Yeah.
And that's not always been the case, right? Because we've seen them tweak things. We've seen them fix things. We've seen them tweak things. I mean, just recently, right, in the last month or so, they reduced the relisting fee from 1.2x to 1.1x. So it's not fully hands off, but that's how Adam's kind of envisaged it, as something that I can create to sit there and just do its thing over time. I think he's thinking that it's just a matter of market conditions for this thing to pop off. And I don't think necessarily he's thinking it needs any more of his input. So whether you agree or disagree with him, he's gone on to the next. He's just done a big fundraise, right? Where he got, I think, 299 Ethereum. 80% of that was locked up. 10% of that was directly available for the team to innovate with and to launch new projects with, and 10% of that went to market buying punk strategy, I think, or will be market buying punk strategy in some sort of treasury or reserve. So one good thing, even though I don't fully agree with Adam and the way he's running punk strategy, I do still appreciate that he didn't have to have that 10% in there that went to market buying punk strategy and forming that treasury or reserve. So that's a little head nod to him there. And then I think in future projects, there's always a chance that he could, bring punk strategy in and intertwine them into new projects. I mean, he's launching a new project soon, and it's called Command or CMD.
Is this one you got to share on the screen here? Yeah.
It's just a teaser tweet post. There's no information really on it. I have no idea what it's about. But this is he's gone back to his roots of building, and he wants to start and try and come up with new projects and try and replicate the success that he's had with punk strategy.
I imagine, I mean, I don't know what this is, but I imagine it's going to feed back into punk strategy.
I hope so, but I don't know. I could also see a world in which Adam doesn't link it back with punk strategy if there's not like a really clear and obvious way to do so.
Yeah. It's interesting. Tay, did you get any of this punk strategy token?
Yeah, I got quite a lot. But yeah, I'm just waiting for the bull run as with everything. But yeah. Yeah,
it's interesting because obviously when ETH goes up, this seems to rise optically with it. It's like ETH went up 5%, and this went up like 10%. So it just seems that it does recover optically, and I guess the simple thing is that the smaller the market cap, if one of these punks sell, the bigger impact it has on the burning mechanism. So it's like actually everything like and now that there's 40 of these crypto punks, and the fact that they've changed the relisting fee, because that was one of the biggest issues. The stagnation was going to be around. It's going to be listed at a 1.2 times premium. Now it's a 1.1. Yeah, they could probably change it to a 1.05 if they've changed it already. They could even do it just as a break even.
Yeah, I mean the thing with that is like when it's not selling for as much profit, you aren't making so much to be able to market by punk strategy. But what you are doing is that the flywheel is spinning a lot quicker, so it's going to spin twice as fast when you're relisting it at 1.1x compared to 1.2x in theory. But the problem is you're not going to, each of those sales is going to be slightly less impactful because you're not going to get 20% more. You're only going to get 10% more than what they initially bought for. Now, quite frankly, we all know what needs to happen is a bull market for crypto and NFTs, mainly NFTs, for this to go nuclear, right?
Yeah.
Right now, what you pointed out, Jayden, was it seems to be following in suit with Ethereum. In fact, sometimes, going up more than Ethereum, because obviously Ethereum's higher price. So, it's going to take more for Ethereum to move up than something like Punk Strategy. So you got that. That's an upward pressure. So if crypto goes up, obviously, and Ethereum, that would mean Bitcoin and Ethereum goes up, then obviously Punk Strategy is going to follow suit with Ethereum, and it's also going to go up. And then you've got the NFT side of things, right? If NFTs go up and we start seeing a lot more sales for NFTs and CryptoPunks, and some of those protocol held punks sell, then you've got that upward pressure. Then you've got the double upward pressure plus the flywheel. The flywheel, like when the flywheel starts spinning, it can get really crazy. So I think that's why maybe Adam has taken kind of a sideward step away from Punk Strategy and the strategy tokens, is because I think in his point of view, he doesn't need to do anything else, and he just needs to wait for market conditions. I guess where we disagree is that I would have liked to see more strategy tokens out there. I don't know why he wouldn't have, made sure that all of the people that were contacting him when strategy tokens had that attention, why he wouldn't have made sure each of them had their own strategy token. Why he would have pushed maybe WoW, or like pushed away WoW.
One was a miss, mate.
Why push them away and then make their own token, rather than just saying, look, you can come in. I don't want, and he almost played a little bit like too much gatekeeper, forced people to do some other moves, and then lost the attention. So maybe now people aren't like biting at the bit to try and launch their own strategy token.
I thought it was really healthy that people did try and arbitrage the token on day one, because what it did was it created a shot in the arm in terms of how many NFTs were in the treasury.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? But then it's like, I think there's more he could have done, but we need to realize he's a young guy. He's a young guy, and he's some of the things he says on the timeline. I just think, he said something like, if you guys were asking to invest in TokenWorks and you don't buy this, don't bother messaging me again. I'm like, do you know how hard it is to get money out of people? Like, fucking hell. Do you want to get someone to invest in what you're doing? You've just got to have some kind of business development or client relationship type thing where you're just maybe a little bit less broy.
I wanted to ask your thoughts. Jayden, on death strategy.
I was just going to touch. We can come on to that, but I was just going to ask either of you: are you a buyer of Punk Strategy at the moment?
I'm not buying more, if that's what you mean.
Yeah. No. Is it due to a lack of liquidity, or do you think that it's Are you concerned?
I think it's just because I've allocated enough. I'm just being patient now, and I think. Yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think the only reason I bought Punk Strategy is because I can't afford a Punk. Obviously, that would be the ideal thing. So if there are other NFTs out there I can afford, probably more inclined to go for that.
Do you know, I love that you just said that, because actually that is the psychology of most of the buyers, which is they're trying to arbitrage the price appreciation of CryptoPunks. They can't buy CryptoPunks. They're actually just getting a bit of exposure. And that's exactly why it's working. There's a whole load of punks, OGs, folks are saying, no, it's just robbing the value, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is the coin is giving you price exposure to the asset, whether you like it or not. And I think it's just I think it's a great thing. How about yourself, Burge? You kind of...
It's the same as Tay. I think I've allocated enough now. It is a liquidity thing as well. But even if I had liquidity, I don't think I kind of like, to the same point, I don't think I would be like, oh, I need to put more into Punk Strategy. I'm at a good position where I have a lot in Punk Strategy already. I don't think that's like, I mean, even when I've had liquidity in the last few months, what I've been doing is buying fucking apples from Curio Cards. I mean,
I love that.
But Ben, I was on a call with Ben the other day, and he was like, "You've got fucking 7 apples. What the?
You got 7 apples?
I've got 7 apples. I think someone sold me another one at like $300. I mean, to be able to buy an apple at $300, I think it's a no-brainer. But
Oh, yeah.
I'm
I
even
agree.
getting to a point where, you know,
I
I've
agree.
got
Tell me
too many
one,
apples.
please. Tell me one. I don't have any. Tell me one.
Just
Mate.
make an offer. Make an offer.
Yeah, it's
Does this Mr. Rocky guy still have them? Oh, he has 2 left in his wallet.
it's
But he's probably
crazy,
going to
mate.
mint like 100 more. No, he's not.
Yeah, but I mean, the apple's a no-brainer because for people that don't know what we're talking about, Curio Cards, which predates CryptoPunks, it's the first art show on Ethereum. I don't want to have a whole bunch of historical people dive in saying no, it's not the first NFT. I know it's not, but it got auctioned off at Christie's. First experiment in artists getting paid digitally for their work. Very clever how they launched it. The Apple, which happens to be the first NFT sold. There might be one contract that predates it, but the apple signifying the Adam and Eve and the story, and it being auctioned off at Christie's for over $1 million. I think it was the Ethereum co-founder who bought the collection. But now you can buy an economic share of it. And the apple, I think there was only 1,800 of them. I think there might be much less supply available that is wrapped. But they went up to 23 Ethereum. 23 Ethereum. That was $75,000, and now you can pick it up for $300. What the actual fuck?
Yep.
This is like, but now it becomes, well, do you think it's going to have value? But the thing is, because it's historical, it doesn't need to do anything, and it's always it predates CryptoPunks, so it doesn't actually matter. It's just going to be there, and it's just a bet on us becoming more digitized. So you just keep buying the things. Yeah, I mean, Tay, you obviously mentioned the apples at the beginning of the conversation that you didn't have one, but you're thinking of buying one. What's your thought process around it, bud?
Yeah, I think because it's not as well known as something like apes or even punks, I think it will, once we do see a bull run, it will take time for the liquidity to go downstream to affect other projects, less well-known projects like CryptoPunks. Like Hero Cards, which means, not to say that won't happen, it will just take a bit longer. And so that's why I already have 3 Hero Cards, floor ones, but I do really want an apple. I do really want. I think you're right. The price is crazy. Not that it will get to 20 ETH necessarily next cycle, but at least even if it's like 5 Ethereum, it's still earning a crazy return. So I almost want to get 2, one to flip, one to hold.
And on that point, Tay, and kind of, I want to like chuck this to Jayden because I feel like kind of what you were saying on that TikTok right before the live stream. When you think about this, right? That apple that I bought 3 weeks ago, it was sold to me on an offer, $380. As Tay said, I don't think it's going to go for 20 Ethereum next cycle, but I do think it's going to go up a shit ton, right?
Yeah.
The amount of opportunity there are in NFTs that is so underrated because they think it's a fad. Like they think NFTs has had its time and now it's completely down. People have left the space. People aren't looking at there's no way I should be able to buy an apple for $380 and have hardly any competition. I know Tay and some other people in the founders group, we've had some bidding wars a little bit, but it's not it's been between 2 or 3 people, and we've had enough. There's been not enough demand from other people for us to be like, Tay, you go and get this one and I'll get the next one. So I don't know, the opportunity seems crazy to buy an apple at $380 and potentially sell it for even just $5,000, which would be like 1 or 2 Ethereum when Ethereum goes back up.
But this is just, take the NFT out of it. You just go, okay, will it sell for half an Ethereum? And then you go, will ETH get to $4,000? Yes and yes. So it's just like, that's 10x from where you bought it, mate.
Yep.
There's a fucking 10x. There's no world where you get 10x in this market when there's all sorts of stuff going on. I mean, I remember buying my Apple for $5,000.
Yeah,
my first one, and I thought I had stole it. I thought I'd fucking absolutely stolen this thing. I got up because I knew that with Curio Cards there is a perpetual trader on there, which basically has these apples, buys it relisted, but buys their own one or something because there's no trading fees, or it might be 1% or something. but actually there's some that apples that sell, but you can actually buy if you put in lowball offers, it does accept it. But Curio cards is a real interesting one because you're essentially not taking that much risk. And I know that sounds absolutely insane, but it is going to be the apex asset though, because it just predates. Obviously, there'll be better, like Tay, what you were saying about the mutants. They got founders that get to push out the marketing, and they arrange the conferences where everyone meets. So there's the network effects. But there will always be a reason for people to go back to Curio cards. I know there's another one called Papyrium, which predates it. I know there's a few others that kind of. I think from that 2017 era, there's only 20 projects, 20 fucking projects. So it's like, that's it.
The Apple as well, not to harp on too much about the Apple, because obviously I own a few.
Yeah, you're shilling your bags now, guys. Anyway, if you see someone with the name @Burge on OpenSea or whatever, and they're selling apples, you know why? He's used the live stream to dunk on knowledge.
But I was just thinking, for someone who's not got any Curio cards right now, when the bull market happens, and NFTs go on a bull run, people will inevitably, they'll look at Curio cards. Some people say, it's not for me. Some people will want to have a piece of Curio cards. Now, if they can afford an Apple, I think most people will be drawn to buying an Apple. I think the other Curio cards there's good cases for some of the other Curio cards, but I think Apple has one of the strongest cases. I think the only way that they don't buy an Apple first as their first Curio card is perhaps because they can't afford it and they have to go for a lower Curio card. So again, like I'm just thinking, like I'm thinking about my own bags here. I hold a few other Curio cards, and I'm thinking right now, should I sell them and just accumulate fucking apples?
Yeah. Well, the thing
open an orchard.
Well, this is it, mate. You're just capturing the trend. If you think about it logically, take NFTs out of it. Let's just say digital collectibles. You are literally just capturing the trend of digital collectibles. That's like, I'm not referring to it as Bitcoin, because probably the Bitcoin of NFTs is probably CryptoPunks. But actually, all you're doing is just capturing the trend, and that is it. And that's what a lot of people should do. I think Curio cards is like a staple for a lot of people because the entry price is like criminally low. It must be below $100 now for a Curio card.
Yep, I think it is.
So just want to segue slightly out of Curio cards. Obviously, I know this. We got the opportunity to meet the Benny from Del Mondo's at your meetup, which was really good. I know Simon. He's been hinting at some stuff on the timeline. We don't really know what's happening. I know people think that there was meant to be a big announcement this week. Do any of you know about that, or have you heard about it? Do either of you own Del Mondo's?
I don't. I think Tay does. So I'll leave this to Tay.
Two.
I do. I do. I own one. I was actually talking to Benny for quite a while at the meetup, and for like maybe half an hour, and then afterwards I was like, yeah, okay, I'll buy one, and he was like, only one. So, but yeah, I did buy one. It was like quite a rare one as well, like not a floor price.
Is there a reason why you did that?
Not a floor one.
It's just you went for something you liked.
Because it was at the floor, and it was not. It shouldn't have been there. Basically, it was. I sniped it. It was quite good.
That's what we used to talk about, back in the day, Tay, was like, you can tell some people were just traders, right? They would buy whatever. They wouldn't even really look at the NFT. But for us, we've got enough know-how to know that, like, if you've got a rarer NFT at the floor, that's probably worth going for. Because at the very least, if you want to dump it at the floor, it's going to sell immediately when you do it because it's a rarer one. Or you can sell it for a little bit more than the floor when things take off, hopefully in the future. So that's the sign of a smart collector.
Just the experienced one, I guess.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I mean, look, boys, we're going to be in the next bull run. Obviously, we don't know when it's going to happen. But I think for sure it's going to happen. I think anyone who thinks that NFTs aren't going to have a resurgence, it's completely wrong. I would bet almost anything on it. But I think when it happens, we got like the amount of kind of experience and knowledge we have. I don't think we are, I don't think we're some gods, but I think that experience and that knowledge that we have is going to be very
We are
beneficial
gods. What are you
for us.
talking about? Of course we're gods.
Listen,
It's going to be beneficial for sure.
it's funny you say that, because just the way that we're speaking, or certainly I've seen it in your behavior, Burge, which is your language has just gone up another level. Your kind of understanding around the assets and stuff, and obviously the same with yourself, Tay, because you kind of go on this journey of, you start off as a collector and an enthusiast, but you get so tied into how, like, where the value is coming from. And actually the weird thing about the NFTs is the fact that it forces you to be a venture capitalist, because you have to think about where the value is driven from. And a lot of people just stay surface level and they go, oh, well, the community got good vibes and all this sort of stuff. But the reality is, once you figure out the secret sauce, which is it's just attention that leads to buying flows, then you ask yourself, well, what drives the attention? The good thing with curio cards is it's history. History is always going to bring people back to a certain spot in time, the same way rookie cards do with certain things. But the other category is going to be people. So you're going to have history, people, and also culture. So they're the three kind of categories. But the people, then it becomes a clever little play, because you're thinking, well, has this person got the ability to drive a whole bunch of demand to this project? With the reason why I missed the apes in the beginning is because the team were anonymous, so you couldn't actually tell unless you were in the Bitcoin OGs community, and then a whole bunch of those people swapped their Bitcoin into ETH and then bought these fucking things. But the reality is, it's right. Who's got the ability? Who's got the community to drive attention flows? Then it becomes a bit murky, like it was in 2021, because you had a whole bunch of marketers who could drive attention. So you had Tom Bilyeu, you had Ty Lopez, obviously Gary Vee, you had all of these guys who had these attention flows, but then it becomes who can sustain the attention flows. Then it becomes depth of community. And for me, the reason why I was sold on VeeFriends, and I'm also sold on Bored Ape Yacht Club, is the depth of the community and how they interact with you. And it's an anecdotal thing. It's a spidey senses thing. But I will always remember when I was in the queue for VCon and Gary Vee was on stage, and halfway through his speech, he went, guys, fuck it, I'm going to the back of the queue. And everyone was on the grassy knoll. I don't know if you remember it, Tay. And that, what was that little spot that we're in Minnesota? There was like a grass embankment in the middle of the square, and it was all cordoned off. And he gets to the back of the stage, and everyone's at the front just going, what the fuck's he doing? So he starts dapping. The first time I met Gary Vee was at the back of the stage, because I was at the back of the queue with a hangover, and he starts dapping people up, blah, blah, blah. But the reality was, when I saw people on that first day queuing up for, it must have been, I mean, I don't want to exaggerate here, but it must have been 8-9 hours on that first day. You remember that?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was this square, and everyone was queued around it.
Yeah, but he didn't go home. He didn't sleep that night. I remember.
Really?
He didn't sleep that night. Because he stayed in the queue, fucking dapping people up and stuff. But people queued for 7 hours, and when they got to the queue, some of them were crying hysterically, like he was fucking Michael Jackson or something. And I was like, okay, this guy's got depth with his audience. They give a shit about what he says, and this is going to be a big thing. So there's attention, then there's sustained attention. Now you've got the fact that he's doing these characters and he's been talking about these traits for the last 15 years.
Yep.
And people
and the business acumen as well.
And I haven't even got to that bit yet.
Yeah. Like the fact that he's a killer businessman, like even just that part could make this successful. But with all the other things, and then that.
And then you're like, hold on, he's actually a very good storyteller. Now you're like, and he's grown up on collectibles. Now this is the perfect storm, mate. And the only thing that can fuck this up is he gets hit by a bus, and that's just going to screw it up for everyone. And which I touch wood, I hope it doesn't happen, because this is just he's just got to see this through. Guys, we are obviously coming to the end here. I appreciate all 96 of you that have joined. If you want to get the recording, you can get it on carrotlane.com. It gets emailed to your inbox. You just hit the link in my bio. But really appreciate everyone who shares the streams. It does really help. Tay, I really appreciate you joining, my friend, on very short notice. It's good to have you involved in the stream. I miss that cheeky smile of yours, bud.
Pleasure.
Usually after it's eyeing some chick across the bar or whatever, or trying to chat her up afterwards. Or no, I'm only joking. And Burge, you're a killer as always, my friend. But just kind of before we go, anything that you guys are looking at, anything that kind of sparks your curiosity, I'll just give you like 30 seconds before we kind of end the stream and I send the recording out.
I'll just say, I think even just from this live stream, kind of actually when we were talking about the curio cards, I think for me personally, I don't want to be complacent in this time because I am aware that what's coming in the future will happen. In regards to a bull run on crypto, a bull run with NFTs, and I feel like I don't want to be complacent now because I'm leaving dollars on the table if I am, and so I'm gonna right after this, I'm gonna come up with a plan of like, what do I want to own before the next bull run, and then start to make that happen over the next like few weeks, next few months, and whether that's 10 apples, whether that's 5 friends, whether it's a certain amount in punk strategy, I'm going to make sure I'm ready and have a few sizable bets that I think will play out in the next bull run.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. Tay, it's been great having you, my friend. Looking forward to catching up soon, probably at the next Burge meetup, which is going to be a good one. You're saying it's in Birmingham this time, Burge?
Yes, Birmingham for the next On-Chain Society meetup. We're looking at probably early May in Birmingham. So I'll try and get that kind of squared away and the details out as soon as possible.
Yeah. Nice one. Chaps, thanks for joining. I think that washing machine gets louder and louder, Tay. I thought it was a vacuum cleaner.
Tay won't be there, will he? He won't be there for the next one, probably.
I was going to say I'll be in Thailand, but yeah.
Mate, listen, we'll have to FaceTime you. To be honest, we did a live stream when we were at the last one, and there were 80 people on the live, which was pretty cool. So it gives them an insight as to how good the NFT meetups are. I think there's real appetite for people to meet up in person, which is really cool. Maybe we have a rule when we're there, Burge, that they lock phones away or something. So it's really like old school. I don't know. I just made that up on the spot. Guys,
that'd be interesting.
Guys, going to end that there. Tay, thanks for joining. Burge, thanks for joining. Really appreciate you guys. Until next week, we'll get the time right. 8:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Yes,
I know you guys have changed your clocks, which kind of throws us under the bus a little bit. But yeah, really appreciate you guys. And until next week, we'll see you then. See you later.
Bye.
Take care.